Hey family, what's happening? First off, I want to start by apologizing. We were having some major technical difficulties there for a minute, but thank God, and these things happen, unfortunately. We worked it out, or I should say my producer worked it out. We're here. So sorry about that again, but welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Sisters Against Kidney Disease. I am your hostess with the mostest, Audrey Bella Langston, and I just want to say, hey, everybody, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you're here. Welcome back, and I hope that everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving. I did. It was different. I did Zoom Thanksgiving with my kids and my daughter and son-in-law and my grandkids on Zoom, and it was different, but it was so good. I was just grateful that we can see each other, right? I'm just so grateful to God for technology. That is the bottom line, what I'm saying. And I hope you guys had a good time as well. I hope everyone is still doing their best to be safe out here. Let's not get laxy-daisy with that. And please, please, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that share button, guys. This is how you help me get that word out here. So help me help you and your loved ones who may be in need of a transplant to get that word out. Also, we are live. I am live on YouTube. So for those who may not have a Facebook account, and believe it or not, some people do, We have YouTube, and it shows live on there as well as our other sister shows, brother shows. You know, I'm not just talking about women. Again, I like to reiterate that this show is not just about females. I love my guys out there. Thank you all for joining. And so I'm going to speed this up so we can get started because we're tardy. I got a great guest tonight. She is such a beautiful soul. Her name is Alyssa O'Neill. Alyssa is 57 years old and she resides in New Jersey, and she's been married for 30 years. How awesome is that? What a blessing, especially today. And Alyssa was diagnosed with lupus at the age of 18, and she then unfortunately sustained a stroke at some point, and within probably about I believe it was a 15-year period, and we'll get a little more into this, it destroyed her kidneys. But here's what it didn't destroy. It did not destroy her spirit and her zest for life, right? But during her illness, she acquired her bachelor's degree, which is always amazing, and that was in business administration. And not too long after that, she had to start on dialysis. So she, during that time, was also a very avid volunteer on educating dialysis patients, as well as volunteering with UNOS and another organization called CASA as a court-appointed support advocate. Now, I myself actually got with an organization called CASA here in actually St. Petersburg, but it was a totally different organization. It was for the support Community Action Stops Abuse for women who have gone through domestic abuse. But that's another thing. We've got some great organizations out here as well to help people. Her focus was in children, which is always great. She's undergone 2 transplants and she's now in need of a third, okay? So please give a wonderful welcome to my guest, Alyssa O'Neill.
Hello.
Hello, doll. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. I am so happy that you're here, Alyssa. I think you have such an amazing story to share with everyone. And so I'm going to just start out by having you go right into that. I've shared a few little nuggets about your journey in introducing you. But let's start off by talking about how your journey with kidney disease actually began.
My health challenges had started when I was 18. I had like a mini stroke, they called it. I was went to the hospital. And at that point, they weren't sure what my problem was or what, caused that to happen. And it turned out I had very low platelet count. It took a few months before they finally diagnosed me with lupus. And I battled with that disease for about 10 to 15 years, had many different trials and tribulation, some issues with a lot of joint pain and things like that, debilitating issues. And then it started attacking my kidneys. I started trying all different things, diet, alternative medicine. I saw a specialist in New York and tried to do everything to not lose the kidneys. Unfortunately, I did succumb to having kidney failure and ended up on dialysis. I was on dialysis I was fortunate. Initially I went on dialysis, which was hemodialysis, and I had a very hard time with that. So I switched over to something they call peritoneal, which is where you can do your own exchange of your fluids, getting all the toxins out of your body by having a tube inserted in my stomach, and every day, 4 times a day, I would hook up IVs and flush my system from the toxins.
Okay.
I did that and I was very fortunate for about 8 months, almost a year, and I received a phone call that there was a donor. It was a deceased donor, and I was, like I said, very grateful, and I received my first kidney transplant at that time.
Awesome. And did you receive that transplant, Alyssa, at from your hometown as well?
I received it. At the time, they did not disclose much information regarding the donor, but I did get the transplant at the Saint Barnabas Hospital in Livingston, New Jersey.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where the donor was.
Okay.
But that's where I did get my initial transplant.
Okay. And so that was a deceased donor. And how was that initial transplant experience for you? Tell us a little bit about that, your experience with getting your first kidney.
It just life-changing. Once you are, once you do lose your kidneys, it really changes your whole lifestyle, your whole quality of life in your life, from the foods that you eat, just to your general well-being and how you feel. So it was like a miracle. My whole life changed. I had my life back again. I felt wonderful. I was able to do everything that I did prior to illness, at a younger age. So it just, like I said, it was life-changing, wonderful. That lasted me over about 10 years or so. And then the toxins started building, my creatinine started creeping back up again. And I started going into kidney failure.
Okay. Now, go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll ask you. Go ahead. Finish your point.
So I started going to kidney failure, and I really pushed it to the limits because I did not want to go back on dialysis. So I became, pretty frail and very ill at the time. And my brother was then retested to see if he was eligible to be a candidate for me. And thank the Lord, he was able to be. It was an incompatible transplant. So I had to go through the process called plasmapheresis, where they would take out all the antigens and antibodies that would fight against his kidney. But that went successful. And then I had my second transplant in 2007. It was my Christmas present in early December. It was a wonderful gift. And again, I was, back full of life, enjoying life and doing things that I loved. At that point, that's when I started, advocating and helping and going to other transplant clinics and educating and talking to people about transplantation and about the procedures and different things. I also, like I said, mentioned volunteered for CASA and moved forward with my life.
So I like to ask people me personally, my donor was, a living donor, my godson. But I'm always intrigued when people actually get to communicate with the family of a deceased donor, and I was just going to ask you, was that a possibility? Did that happen with your situation?
With the first kid, no. That was kept very private back then. They did not let any information out. I never even knew who the donor was.
So So they didn't even present that as a potential option. I mean, I know that usually they'll ask if you would like, you can send a letter. Everything has to go through the transplant center, of course. And it doesn't mean that that family will respond or whatever. They're the intermediator for that. So I was just curious as to if you were even, offered the opportunity.
Yes, I did. I believe, thinking back, I believe I did send a letter, like a thank you and say a thank you, but I never heard anything. And like I said, I wasn't even sure if it was a boy or a male or a female.
Oh,
at
okay.
that time.
Okay. Okay. But wasn't it wonderful to
Oh,
feel wonderful?
it was wonderful.
Oh
It's wonderful. You don't realize until you don't have, when you lose something in life, until you can't, go on your normal everyday.
yeah, yeah, and just the multitude of restrictions that come with kidney disease, and when especially on dialysis, I mean, you gotta watch your fluid intake, and you have to cut back on this, pump up the volume with that. I mean, it's like a vicious cycle in a way, just all the things you go through, but yet it becomes so systematic that we do it like without a problem. So you said, I believe that once you got the transplant and you were able to go back to just everything, they told you probably, oh, you could go back to eating whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. The only
Yeah.
restriction, I guess you're aware of that, is not a lot of proteins once you get a kidney transplant. You're just, a
Yes.
normal amount.
Right.
Don't
I
eat it.
I stopped red meat, period, at my diagnosis. And they didn't tell me to do that. They said, no, just cut back. You just need to cut. I said, no, I was the kind of person, I'm done. And I never went back to it. And here I am almost 16. Actually, it would be about 18 years I haven't had beef. So it's kind of like, once you're done, why go back?
Yeah, why go back? Right.
Yeah. So tell me, your brother gave, what was that gap in between? Share with us some things you were experiencing with regard to the rejection, because this is something I think that we kind of don't talk about that much, because we don't want to talk about, we don't even want to think it. However, there are different side effects that happen when you go into a rejection. Oftentimes it usually shows through the lab work, which is always so critical, that we have to have labs every 3 to 4 months, because that's what shows if we're going into rejection. Share about that.
For me, the rejection was just very nauseous. I was sick all the time. My stomach, it was like the acids would build up in my belly. And besides being nauseous, extremely tired.
Mm-hmm.
Always tired, getting up, doing a little bit, and then just needing to take that rest and sit down. But I guess the worst for me was always the stomach problems and always feeling nauseous and sick on a constant basis. And I really, Zofran, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was like my buddy. That helps for anti-nausea. And I pretty much lived on that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, tired and just being very, you really just couldn't do much. You do a little bit and then that was it. You're back on the couch laying down, or, sitting up watching TV.
And so I'm sure at that point you became concerned about what you were experiencing with the fatigue, with the nausea. And is that when you said, hey, something's wrong? You know what I mean? Yes. And I better talk to, my nephrologist or whatever?
Yes, I did see my nephrologist regularly due to, always having like the lupus in the background. It was always something to make sure to check to keep that it was at remission and there wasn't any flare-ups. But I was working at the time, and I used to just get up every morning and just go to work and just feel just not well at all. And, then she's like, well, your creatinine, Alyssa, your creatinine is increasing. Your toxins are building in your body, and, we're going to have to put you on the list again and look for that. So she really wanted me to go on dialysis again. And I sort of, like I said, I pushed myself to not do that, and I didn't. It wasn't the best decision because I was pretty frail when I was transplanted prior to, and you really should try to be in your best condition you can be.
Right.
So being on dialysis I would have been a little bit better off if I did do that.
But you said, okay, so you said you chose not to. The doctor was kind of and forgive me if I missed that, was urging you to return to dialysis after the
she was saying your
rejection?
toxins are high. We should look about getting, start putting a port in and looking about, the fistula
Mm,
and make that decision. And,
mhm.
knowing what I had in the past. And I just was like, oh no, I don't want to go back to what, where I
Yeah.
was. And yeah, sometimes
Hmm.
you try to push yourself a little too much. So
Right.
yes, I was really on the point of just ready to, I had to go back on dialysis if the kidney did
Okay.
not come through.
Right. And so, what was that period, that gap, Alyssa, from the time you rejected to when your brother became your second donor?
Um, I left work in about the end of like 2006, I think, mid 2006. And so it was a good about a year,
Hmm.
about a year before
Okay.
that time.
So that
But
was
I
a.
mean, we
Mhm. Go ahead.
gradually, we saw the numbers gradually going. Like we knew that it was inevitable that it was, that the kidney was failing
Hmm.
from the
I mean,
testing.
that was such a blessing. Um,
Oh,
you know, um, I'm just curious too. Was the prospects of your brother being a donor was it for your first, knowing that you needed a kidney,
mhm.
before you got the first one, was there ever the potential of him being the initial
Yeah,
donor in the beginning?
yes, there was, but he had skin cancer. So
Oh,
they wanted him to be 10 years
I
free
see. Hmm.
before he was eligible to be a donor.
I understand. That makes total sense. Total
Yeah.
sense.
Be-
Because
because they want
that's
you understand. They want everyone to be so healthy, before they
absolutely,
donate.
absolutely. And it's not even about us as the one in need. They're really looking out for those people
Yeah.
that are
Oh yeah.
donating too. And that is the tell all, because you are going to have, they're going to test them up the wazoo
Oh
for
yeah.
everything. And some people have found out that they had some major problems going on making an attempt to be a donor that they were not aware of. But
Yeah.
that's a good thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. I mean, I think it's probably saved some people's lives because you do every test to make sure everything's okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, had your crisis with your health affected in any way, your friendship, your family relationships, your marriage? I know, if you don't mind me saying so, that you said that you don't have children. I'm pretty sure we talked about that a little, and you said that's primarily because of
My
your
health
health
condition.
issue. Hmm.
Yes. But with the lupus primarily at a younger age too. Yes. So no, I didn't have children. Like you said, I have been married 30 years with my husband. He's been by my side since I was 16. And so he's
Mm,
seen me
that's
go
right.
through the worst.
High school sweethearts or something like
Yes.
that? Oh my
Yes.
God, that's amazing.
So he's been through a lot. I mean, it has been taxing. I definitely say on a family, it's rough on a family, especially when they see someone they love going through so much. And if they can't help you and they just want to be there to do what they can,
Mhm,
you definitely need the support when you're very ill, when you go back and
mhm.
forth to doctors,
Right.
and you need them there by your side. So they've been through a lot.
Mhm, mhm. And do you think that, sometimes it can unconsciously, I know for me, you know, I I didn't want to put a wedge between me and my friendships, but it sort of unconsciously happened because I felt like oftentimes, when most of the time, as we said, I wasn't feeling well. And what people really need to understand about dialysis that don't already know this, it just sustains your life. It's not going to make you feel great. You're not going to be bouncing off the walls. You have what I call good days and bad
Mhm.
days. Some days better than others. And that's pretty much what anybody on dialysis will tell you. However, I had more bad, some bad days, and I didn't always share it with my family because I didn't want them worrying about that. And I did not go out and hang out as much with my friends because I would get tired too quickly. And I didn't want to be the party pooper. You know what I mean? Did you ever feel that way?
Yes, yes, I've many times. I mean, a lot of times I had to cancel, and on plans that because I just didn't feel up to it, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and I did think, and then at times you just push away from your friends in a way because you don't want everyone to know how bad you really feel, and you keep that hidden. So yes,
Yeah.
I agree 100% with what you were saying. It does. It takes a toll on some of your friendships too. I mean, but the people that know me from years and years ago, have been through it with me for a long time now. It's now
Yeah.
if I meet new people or something, I don't really talk about my health too much unless, someone else is talking about it. But they don't understand sometimes if I have to cancel out, if like, oh, I'm not feeling that well, I'm a little tired, I can't make it, or and need that extra rest.
Yeah.
So
So what type of, I am still educating myself on lupus. I do know that lupus is very serious. So can you tell us a little bit about, because I remember I was asking you about your form of lupus, or are there different variations of lupus?
there's two forms. I'm not sure that there's one. I think it's just lupus, and then there's SLA lupus. And the SLA is a little bit more severe. They both have, you will have some kind of rash, like they call it the butterfly rash. Some people have like a butterfly rash, but it attacks your immune system, and they call it a mystery disease because it took a while for them to really realize what I had and figure it out because it mimics so many other different diseases, and
Yes.
you don't know what, like I spoke with many different people, and it has affected people so many differently. It started with my platelets, then it went into my joints, where at a point, like I was all swollen, I was pretty much paralyzed from the legs down. I couldn't walk
Wow.
at points. So it just ran its gamut through me, and then it went to the kidneys. And they did say the rheumatologist at the time had said to me that sometimes when it does go into an organ, then it might go into remission, which
Mhm.
mine is. I guess it was in remission, but I still get a lot of things that I had from, previous. Like I know when something acts up in my body, I'll get like maybe like a mouth sore or things that I know are lupus related.
Mhm.
So it's still
Yeah.
in the body there.
Mhm.
There's no cure for it. They did years ago the medication that they're telling people to use now, the hydrochloroquine, I can't pronounce it correctly, that they use for the COVID. That I was on that years ago.
Hydrochloroquine, I believe it's called hydrochloroquine, if I'm not mistaken.
Chloroquine. Yes, I was on
Mhm.
that years ago. Many,
Oh,
many years ago when lupus,
okay.
yeah, they started me on that years ago for the lupus. And I was
Wow.
on that for a
Was it
while.
helpful? Did it help?
It helped, to the best of my knowledge at then. But then, like I said, lupus just kept going to different parts of my body
Mm.
and affecting me. So steroids was the number one, the big choice of drug for that I was on.
Prednisone.
Prednisone, yes.
Hmm.
Um,
That little beast. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
it's good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask you this. Um, is lupus popular, genetic oftentimes?
They say no. No one in my family, as they date back, looking, no one has it. Everyone pretty much mom, dad, everyone was pretty healthy. I mean, my mom's going to be 93 and she's doing very
Wow.
well.
That's
My dad lived
amazing.
until he was 89. So
Mhm.
I was the only one afflicted.
Yeah, but you know what? Y- You're awesome, girl, because you have
Thank you.
longevity, and yeah, you are. It's just true. And I love when you said that, when we were having our conversation over the phone, you stated that you've had a remarkable run, you know, because for someone to get that gift and lose
Oh,
it, is devastating.
Oh, yeah.
Devastating, I'm sure, right? And then to
Yes.
get it again, right? And then, but the longevity is amazing. And we know they tell us, Alyssa, that the life of a kidney. And I just want to say to everybody that is either already transplanted, a new transplantee, or even one prolonged like myself, the doctors give us textbook knowledge. That's what they're supposed to do, and statistics. God says how long it's going to last. And it's all about keeping a positive mind. I never listened to that. And, and they do say like genetic donors, like a sibling, a parent, sister, brother last longer. I believe that to a certain extent as well. However, I'm just saying in the grand scheme of things, it's going to do what God says it's going to do. You know what I mean? For as long as he says it. My doctor told me he has maybe 2 patients 30 years out with the same kidney, deceased donor. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you are going to get another kidney. And guys, while we're on that, please check out the information below regarding Alyssa's info if someone wants to donate. This is why we want you guys to share this to your page with everybody, because we've had on our shows people that were random donors and blessed someone with a kidney. When the Alan Gucher and Patsy and Patrick Nielsen, that type of situation, driving down the street and he decides to give the guy a kidney. So we can make this happen. But what I'd like to do, I want to take a few questions and comments for you, Alyssa, that have been popping up. There was one from Michelle Colbert. Jared, could you put that up? And she was asking a question about foods, if you can find it. And everybody, if certain foods aren't good for you guys, they are good. Well, I'm sure what she means is, are they good for anyone? I'd like to learn about foods that I should avoid or eat less. You can start off by giving your opinion, your input on that, Alyssa.
Well, on dialysis, they have you are restricted with your phosphorus and to like banana and potassium, bananas, anything, potatoes. So I'm trying to think of the gamut of my mind of all the different foods, but you have the restriction on anything high phosphorus, especially salty foods, anything with a lot of salt. That in general wouldn't be good for anybody. High sodium foods. So I primarily just eat a lot of vegetables. I try to, and I do eat my meat still because I still need the protein. And they tell me to eat a lot more protein. For some reason, on dialysis, when you do the treatments, it pulls too much protein from your blood, so you have to eat a lot more protein than you would normally would eat. So I guess for anyone, you should definitely just eat a well-balanced meal. Your fruits, your vegetables, and stay away from anything high fats and salts.
So, and I'm going to piggyback on that. Michelle Colbert is my best friend. She lives in Chicago, and fortunately, she does not have kidney disease, but she deals with a few other things. And so, Mick, we had this conversation before. I think personally, if I knew back years ago when we were in our 20s, and especially when we first came on the police department, you and I would have made so many dietary changes in my life that would have been of benefit to me as a healthy person. One of which, like Alyssa said, cutting back on that freaking salt. Yeah. Salt. Everybody's a salt lover. have you seen people that, now I never did this, but they will sit down at their plate, right, and prepare to eat, and they don't even taste their food. There they go with the salt shaker. It's just going all over everything, right? Salt is not good for our body. If you want to eat some salt, do sea salt or Himalayan. They have a more healthier component. And I would suggest to anybody, I would never tell anybody to stop eating beef. That was my choice. But I'm going to tell you guys, beef is not good for you, because especially now, we don't know what they're shooting these animals up with. We have a lot of things that can't have cancer component agents. And so it's just a matter of eating in better moderation, and just limiting, if not cutting out, all those things that are just not good for you. Pop. I'm from the north, so we say pop. South, they say soda, things like that. Those type of things. You're right. Shake what you get. No salt, right, Jared? So Dawn said she's 20 years post Alyssa. Dawn Kurkowski.
Wow.
She's awesome. Yeah, that's really a blessing.
That's
and
great.
Could you put some of those other ones up there, Jared? I was trying to jot down a few. Somebody suggested about talking to your dialysis nutritionist, and they should have a list. Yeah, that is very true. Very, very true. Also, I urge people, see, when you go for a physical, most of the time, they're not checking your renal function necessarily, unless they have a reason to believe something's going on. I urge people, when you're seeing your primary care, and if you're going for an annual exam, tell them to check your renal function. It can't hurt. In fact, majority of the National Kidney Foundations will have events where they will do it for free. I know in Illinois they do, because I was very involved with them, and we had what was called the Kidney Mobile, and we would go to different locations, and they had RNs that were in there that would do the test and everything. So it's really important, because trying to find, if something is found out before it's bad, is a blessing, so it doesn't get full blown. And that's why we urge you guys about your blood pressure and things like that, because that's the silent killer, and that's what it goes right in on and attacks those kidneys eventually. I didn't know that I had those things going on, and that's what happened to me. American Association of Kidney Patients has great diet info. Yeah, so we know you can get great diet info from everywhere. But here's another question I have for you, hun. What do you do to keep yourself busy?
Well, on my off days, right now I have a new home that I have moved into.
Congratulations.
So I've been working on the house.
Okay.
And it's been a blessing, due to now, especially with COVID, you can't go out, so it really gives me a lot of things to do in here, as far as like decorating, making things, and things like that in the home. With the weather getting colder now, I won't be going out as much, but I do like to walk, get some fresh air, do little hikes and things like that.
Yeah, and that's good. That's good. Just keeping yourself moving, keeping our bodies with movement keeps our spirits uplifted.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The things that you do with the organizations that you're with, I tell people too, that is the greatest thing going, volunteer work. It's what God wants us to do, and it's really where those blessings start to flood. It's not always about us and what we want and need, but helping others. So like what you're doing with CASA, and I don't know if you heard me, I was with an organization called CASA, and I was so shocked, and I said, wow, but then when I saw what you did, I said, that doesn't sound, so they are two different organizations. The one I was with was Community Action Against Abuse, and there were a lot of women who were fleeing from domestic violence with spouses or live-in boyfriends, and the whole families displaced, Wow. So that's really awesome what you did with the kids. What was basically that like? Thanks, Joy, accelerate your life. Yeah. What was that like for you?
Working with the children, well, it was working in conjunction with DIFUS, as it was the CASA would go along with, like, if DIFUS got a case, then we would work along with them. We would read their case file and then meet the children, and a lot of them are obviously put in foster care for a while. Go to the foster care's family and see how their environment was, if they how they were thriving, and then also talk to the parents that wanted to, try to get their children back. It was fulfilling, but it did get it's sad. I mean, it
Mhm.
really let you see how unfortunate some of the children are that
Yeah.
get that are in, these situations.
Mhm.
And it was, like I said, it was fulfilling, but it was very sad to see.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. But still, what you were, just I know that meant so much to be able to give back through children,
Yeah.
because they need that love, and care the most. So that
Yeah.
was really awesome, and kudos to you for doing that. And I know in the midst of all of your health issues, you went back to school, you got your bachelor's. That was amazing too, because you know how we are. Oftentimes we feel like crap. You know what I mean? So that took discipline and diligence, and it paid off. And you were able to get out there and help those kids. Yes, definitely well said. Verna, can you put that back up, Jared, from Verna Johnson? This is a perfect example, guys, of what I was talking about. Like Verna is saying, yeah, get that renal function tested because, yep, it's about prevention. She said she didn't know to check her
Oh,
kidney function, and she found out, and she was stage 4. That's
wow.
well, like dug into kidney disease right there. You've got some serious renal damage, and probably definitely she had to go on dialysis at some point if she didn't get a transplant. Yes, education and awareness is definitely the key. And what saddens me the most is when I do speaking engagements or I'm working with LifeLink at engagements, and I'll ask someone who comes up to my table questions if they tell me they're dealing with it, and I'll ask them some basic questions. Oh, really? Well, what type of disease do you have? I don't know. Well, what, like little things that you should know. You know
Right.
what I mean? Which means you're being proactive in your health. Otherwise, you're just doing what you're told by the doctors and everything. And again, they're there to help. Would you say that? Would you agree with that, Alyssa, that, you're your own best advocate?
Yes. And I think sometimes some people are afraid, though. They don't want to, when they
Mm,
feel something or something, they get scared, and sometimes they don't like to go to the doctor or know
mhm,
what is going on. But,
right.
prevention is the best way to stop anything from getting worse, or finding out what is going on and how you can make that change in your life to make it better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Kidney is a silent killer. Kidney disease is a silent killer. He says we don't know when the renal damage happens. No. But here's what helps with that: being in tune with your body.
Yes.
Things that start to happen with your body that didn't usually happen, and if they become persistent
That's a
and
problem.
increase, that's the warning something's going on,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. It's what you said, Alyssa. Either we're afraid to seek medical help about it, or we're poo-pooing it off. That's what I
Yeah.
always called it, like it's no big is it? Yeah, it'll go away. Yeah, and that's where your problems come in. And then before you know it, like the last person told us, she was at stage 4.
Stage 4. Yeah.
you know
She must
so
have been pretty sick, though. I mean, she
she
hadn't
had
healed.
to have been pretty sick. I mean,
Yeah.
although I had a guest once on my show, she never, no symptoms
No,
were prevalent. She said she
really?
felt great. I do believe there can be exceptions,
Yeah.
But for the most part, and statistically, you see some symptoms. You're just ignoring them, or they haven't got bad enough for you. Like you said, okay, I got to go to the doctor, you know. So I totally, agree with that. Are there any more questions out there, Jared? Because I do want them to, answer. Is there anything, Alyssa, that you would like to share that maybe we have not gone, over? I would love for you to do that. It doesn't matter what it is.
I think from health perspective, I think the one positive is, like you have stated, always keep a positive mind,
Mm-hmm.
because you've just got to keep yourself going and pushing forward. Once you sort of let yourself get into the place where you bring yourself down, sometimes it's hard to reverse that, and that's where you end up getting yourself more, you get sicker. So for me, it was always like, if I had a down day, okay, today was my day down, I'm up tomorrow, I'm going to get up. And I'm always thankful every morning that I can wake up, get up and get out of bed.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
A blessing.
And that's a really good point that Don just made as well, also seeking mental health treatment if needed while assessing, because most of the people that I know that have dealt with kidney disease, and even those who I know, because I play a big role over at Tampa General Hospital, so I have another team that I worked with while I was there, and we would see all the patients, heart, kidneys, liver, and all of them, we've had conversations about how they are affected with depression. Now oftentimes our meds can cause that, but I definitely remember in relation to when I was dealing with the onset of my illness, I would just go, I would just go down in this funk and didn't know why. I was fine already. I had gotten past I can't believe I got this. And I was way past that. It was just like this dark cloud would suddenly come over me sometimes. Did you ever experience that?
Yeah, definitely had my down days quite a bit. I've had a lot, as you've seen, a lot of different illnesses and issues, and I had my days that are down, yes. And like I said, I would give myself like a day or two and say, okay, you got to get yourself back up and push yourself back up.
Yeah.
You're the only one that can really help yourself
Right.
when you're like that. I mean, you can get the help, like you said, seek the mental help, get the treatment, talk to people. So I found that definitely helped me a lot, is just trying to keep that positive attitude.
Yeah. So I know you gave a few little nuggets about but advice, but what would you say would be the absolute best advice? Because I know, like, you're waiting on your second kidney, and I don't know if you even know where you are on the list with UNOS at this point for, another potential deceased donor. How do you stay uplifted, while waiting and just
Some days are challenging. Some days are challenging, I will say. You can't take a day off of dialysis. So, on your days, you get up and you might not feel well or anything, but you just have to get there and go. And, you just sit there. And like I say, like you said, it's a necessity. And there's a lot of people that are also there with you at the time getting the dialysis treatment. I just try to, not, just say it's going to happen, like I got to be positive that it's going to happen. As far as the UNOS list, with Saint Barnabas, their wait list is anywhere from 5 to 8 years, they're saying, for disease. So it's, that's thinking of those numbers. It's long,
Alyssa, did you ever think about getting on the list in other places? I don't think I asked you that.
Yes,
Many people do.
Yes. What my first kidney I did, I listed in 2 places. This kidney I have not, because I've had some, other, ailments that I was going through during this time. I just got my catheter out. It was almost a year and a half, and my vein is finally growing properly. So I think now I will start looking into other avenues, but I wasn't well enough to, when you go to other places to list, you have to go there, go through all the testing and all the things. So I wasn't ready for that at that point. I just stayed with, Saint Barnabas right across the way. I did look into Hackensack, but it's within the same area. So it would be the same listing. Out of state is another option, but you would have to travel there. And that's something that I have to keep in mind, that if I did get a call, you'd have to be able to get there very quickly.
Correct.
And you never know with the deceased donor when that would happen. Yeah.
I know many patients that I've seen at TGH who lived in other states, got on the list. The list is much shorter here. And they give them a window, and oftentimes I've asked them, did they have any problems like airline tickets? The people that I have asked said that they told the airline what they were trying to do, and they made reservation. They are very good about that. Majority, especially the larger, more credible, I should say none of them are not credible, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The ones that are
all of the better airlines, they will get you on that flight, ASAP. So it's a blessing, and you have been a blessing, my dear, to all of us. Jared, who I wanted her to see a few things, a few people were saying, and I believe Sim had a really nice post. Yeah. So can you read that, Alyssa? Can you see it, or should I read it to you?
Yes, I can read it.
Okay.
You want me to read it?
Sure, read it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Alyssa. You are an inspiration to many. We are all supporting you 100%, praying for your miracle kidney to come soon for you. Bunch of hearts. Stay strong and believe. That's beautiful. Thank you, Jean.
We are. That's why we're here. And let me tell you, prayers are powerful. Okay. Yes. They are powerful. And so you're not forgotten. Once you're off my show, I still have everyone's name, who's been on the show, who's especially those waiting. And we pray. I pray for you guys. I know how that is to just want to feel good. You know what I mean? And just what a gift it is to just feel well, to have energy. And people tend to take those little things like that for granted. Unless you've been through something, you have no idea, how you feel when you're sick. And so, yes, Donna, we're going to get there. We're going to get her there. And we're going to claim that for 2021. In spite of a pandemic, we're going to get you there. Lisa Baxter says, stay encouraged. God got this 3/3 charm, right? 3 times. Yeah. So I just want to thank you so much for joining me. And even despite, sorry about our little technical difficulties in the beginning, I know we've run a little further, but it was so worth it to hear your story with everyone. And I always select a specific scripture for each of my guests that I read. And it's based on what I feel about your journey with what you've been through. And what came to my heart was in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, which says, and let us, because this reminds me of you, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And you're going to reap again because you didn't give up and you were doing good when all those things in your volunteering. So God sees you and he sees what you need and he will give it to you a third time. And I truly believe that.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you
You're
so much for having me on this show. And thank you for what you do,
Thank you. Oh,
advocating
thank
for
you.
everybody and helping
I
everybody.
love it. I love it. And I love you guys. And we are going to all get through this together. This is where the power comes in, just lifting each other up in every aspect, you know? So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alyssa, you did great. I know you were like, a little,
Oh, nervous.
yeah, and please say hello to your hubby. Congratulations on a wonderful 30-year marriage. When is year 31 coming?
June 29th.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome to have that love, you know, just girl, that's awesome. That's all I can say. That is so awesome, girl. So I am so happy for you guys. And please keep us posted. You know,
I will. I definitely will keep in touch.
Yeah. So thank you so much, sweetheart. God bless you. I love you. And
thank you. I love you too.
Well, so you can get this third kidney. You stay well, okay?
Okay. God bless you too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Wow, what a beautiful soul she is, isn't she, guys? And again, and just like I pray, continue to pray for all my guests, I want you guys to do the same. Because as I said, prayer is powerful. God says when two or more are gathered together in prayer, there he is right in the middle of it. So we've got all of these people that are in need of kidneys, and not just kidneys, many other organs. Now, I do want to say a little something to you guys that unfortunately I didn't get to say in the beginning because I wanted to go right into the show because we were having some technical difficulties. But I just wanted to tell you guys that for the month of December, which starts, what is it, tomorrow? I will be taking what I call my hiatus for the year. I do this every year. I take a break from social media, other activities that, you know, just certain little things, never my workouts or anything like that. But I take a break from the things that can clutter our mind day to day. And we know because of this global pandemic, because of the politics, because of the racial disparities this year, because we couldn't see our families and loved ones and so on and so forth, it has been exhausting. But God, in the midst of all that, God kept me lifted up so that I could do what I love. And that's this podcast, Sisters Against Kidney Disease. But again, every year I take a break in order to achieve restoration, some resolve on things, you know, to reflect. And this is what I do. And I love doing it. And I think the longest I ever stayed off social media was 8 months. And that was a long time. And I didn't miss it, guys. Most of us can be positive, but a whole lot can be negative. And so sometimes you just have to give yourself that space. You know, thank you, Don. Yes, I think I deserve it. I finish up books that I'm reading. I have a book that I'm reading that I want to finish. And I just got Barack's awesome book, A Promised Land. And that book has about 700 and some pages. So I've only put a dent of about 40, 50 pages in it. So I'm going to be in that. And I want to work on this show. I'm going to be working on my show too for December for the big comeback for January. I want to do some new and innovative things, just like Steve was saying in something he posted about, we got to do something. We need to do a show on lupus. So I want to expand Sisters Against Kidney Disease a bit. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to take some time to reflect on it and pray about it and see, how God wants to continue to use me with it. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. I wanted you to hear it from me. And many of you do have my phone number. And please don't hesitate. If you want to reach out to just say hello or shoot me a text, that's fine. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just coming into my little personal quiet space, because it's time for that. I got a new little dog and I'm going to give her more attention for the month. And as we approach Christmas, I just want to say to you guys to have a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be safe and start to think about your plans for the new year. I know me, I don't do resolutions. I more so call mine goals. I set a few goals for myself, even though they're rather in the same category, but it depends on what type of goals you're trying to set and or resolutions you're trying to set. I set realistic goals. And when I do that, I'll usually do two. I hit my mark because I stay on it. But for some reason, when people go a little overboard with setting goals, and when they fail, they're really disgusted about it. So just be reasonable with the goals you're setting. Weight loss is always a big one, but don't go crazy with it. Even if you only lose 10 pounds in a year, you did good. You did good. All you can do is the best you can, and then you stand, right? So just be fair to yourself and be good to yourself. Okay, so I love you guys. Thank you, Jen, so much. Thank you so much for the compliments. Please continue. Thank you for your support for my show, for me. I support all you guys. I love you guys, and I pray for you all. I pray for the success of every show under Urban Health Media. And so I want you guys to do the same and share all our shows, support all of our people, because we're all out here for the same cause, and that is to save lives and to advocate for others and to try to really hammer in prevention, because we don't want you guys to go what some of us have gone through, okay? So again, be blessed. I love you guys with the love of Christ. And there is nothing you can do about it because Jesus loves you also. Bye. Happy holidays.